once the opportunity arose for him to close the show, he did it in emphatic style.
Whatever he hits falls.
This is UMAR Ahmed for IFL TV in association with MTK Global. We're in Sin City, Las Vegas, joined by the Haymaker. It's Tyson Fury fight week, but the whole of the boxing world has been talking about a certain Dereck Chisora.
They have been. He's been making some noise. He's been his usual naughty self. You know, Dereck Chisora, when he's fired up, when he's in the zone, you know, he can be sharp in the ring. He can be sharp outside of it. And you know, myself and Eddie, you know, both agreed the fight would be a co-main event, along with the Taylor's unification fight. And then when he was told, when he asked who was the main event, and I was hoping Eddie would say it's a co-main event. So then, but he just said the man sitting next to you. I'm thinking that's not going to go down that great, and it didn't go down that great. So what I think will be a good way to decide what's the last fight of the show would be to have a public poll on Sky Sports website. If they and let the fans are the ones who turn up. The fans are the ones who pay for the pay-per-view. So if they're going to the pub and they are not sure and they can only watch one fight, let them know. Let the fans say who they want to guarantee they see to be last to the show. And if the fans say they want to see the unification fight, you know, then so be it. If it's not, then you know it's this. You know, I think let the fans decide who they feel they want to see as main event.
Well, let's just say Sky do a poll and Chisora Parker wins that poll. Then you've got to assume that more money will be brought into the event in terms of pay-per-view buys.
Yeah.
If Chisora Parker's headlining, so then Del Boy has got a serious case.
He's got a case. You know, everybody wins. You know, Eddie Hearn wins, Sky Sports win. You know, it's a business as well as a boxing fan. You know, I said to someone earlier on that, you know, the Logan Paul KSI fight is their first professional fight, and that's definitely the main event. Although I've been told there's going to be some quality world title fights on the undercard.
Billy Joe,
exactly.
Devin Haney's on the undercard.
Exactly. So, you know, for me, you know, why is that one? If that one, why is the KSI Logan Paul fight main event?
Money.
Viewers, exactly. If they know that if the Logan Paul fight is happening the latest on the show, more people are going to be able to tune into it, and it's going to make more money for everybody. So everybody wins. More people see it, more eyeballs, and everybody. The fight that trickles down. That trickles down to all the fighters, and it's good for the economy of boxing.
Did Dereck have a private discussion with Adam Smith and Eddie Hearn after that press conference?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he went over and just pleaded his case and said, you know, I believe I should be main event because I'm more popular and I believe I can generate more pay-per-view sales, which is good for everybody. Mm-hmm. And there was no conclusive decision one way or another. What was said, which was quite fair, was Eddie Hearn was fair. He said, "Oh, we'll think about it. At the moment, it's, you know, the world title fight, but you know, over the coming weeks, we'll see what the response is, which is a fair thing to do." And you know, I as I said in a couple of interviews, I think the best and fairest way to do is let the fans decide. The fans are the people who pay for the tickets, are the people who buy the merchandise, who pay for the pay-per-view. Let them decide. You know, if they want to go to the pub and come back and they've only got time for one fight, which fight is it they want to do? They want to pay for, and that I think is the fairest way to do it.
Well, even if Josh and Regis is the main event, it's definitely got people talking about the card. So
yeah,
it's, the pay-per-view buys I think have gone up since that press conference.
Yeah,
anyway.
Dereck has a knack for, you know, getting headlines for, you know, he's a very controversial character in the whole Vaseline gate. Was I wasn't expecting that one. I didn't know how that would go down, but it seems to be. It's got some traction.
It has, yeah.
It really has got some traction. I think. I won't be surprised if Vaseline end up sponsoring the event. You know, I've never seen Vaseline trending before.
Just picking this back up with David. I know you spoke to Coogan the other day about the fact that he's left Dave Caldwell. Any updates on who he could be potentially training with?
None as yet. You know, he's working hard. He's focusing more of his time on sparring and implementing, you know, his game plan. You know, he's got some trusted people with him he's worked with in in the past, and he's enjoying it. I think we'll announce something in the next couple of weeks. But at the moment, the sole focus has been making sure that his sparring is going exactly as we need it to do. That he's doing the things that are going to be imperative to winning this fight. You know, he knows. You know, Joseph Parker is a brilliant long-range boxer. He's got a fantastic jab. His left hook's good. His right uppercuts are real dangerous. His right hook to the body is devastating. I've seen him wind many people like that. So, you know, we're studying Joseph Parker. We're looking at what he does well and trying to find a game plan to counteract Joseph Parker at his best. You know, Joseph Parker is a young man. He's 27 years old. He holds only 2 defeats on his great resume. You know, and those were a points loss against Anthony Joshua. No disgrace there in a fight where he wasn't really allowed by the referee to engage, which I understand. Imagine if the same thing happened with Andy Ruiz. If Andy Ruiz got into range and the referee jumped him and stop fighting each other, stand back and just let's keep it a long way. You know, maybe the result would have been different. Maybe, you know. So, and the other loss was to Dylan White. No disgrace there. He came back and dropped him heavily in that 12th round and showed that you know he's still even when he's losing on points, he's still got that big punch. And Dereck realizes, he knows, the whole team know that he needs to fight better. He needs to be fitter, more technically sound than he's ever been in his whole life. Otherwise, victory is not assured. And he's doing it so far. He's doing everything that's been asked of him, and he's in great nick already. And I think that bubbled over. I think you could see that in the press conference. You know, he was very sort of sharp-tongued, and he was on it. It might not be that great for the Ofcom and television, but for me as his manager and someone whose sole interest is in how he performs on the 26th of October at the OTTO Arena, he's making the right noises. For me, he wants the masses to see him. He wants to be main event because he wants to put on the fight of his life. He's training like he's fighting for the fight of his life, and he wants as many people to see him as possible because he wants to win that world title at some stage. You know, he's been a nearly man many times, and he wants to fulfill his full potential, as I don't believe he believes he has done as yet. And you know, a good victory over someone as respected and dangerous as Joseph Parker, you know, catapults him right to the top of the list of contenders, you know, eligible to challenge for the heavyweight title.
We're pressed for time here, so we've got to talk about the man headlining in Vegas, Tyson Fury. In your opinion, looking back throughout heavyweight history, how good is Tyson?
He's fantastic. You know, he's physically imposing. You know, he's in great shape. He's proven he can overcome adversity. You know, he had that well documented time out of the ring and was able to regroup and come back better. You know, the draw, which nearly became a loss in that last round against Deontay Wilder. That, you know, the fact that he was able to get a draw and not a loss there, I think people will remember that for many years to come. I think that'll go down as kind of what, like, I remember when Ali got dropped, I think in the 15th round against Fraser. You know, in a shot we had no business getting up. You know, he should have been asleep. He should have stayed down. But you know, I remember that many people remember the fact that he got back up, the broken jaw, and he was in bits. But you know, he didn't win that fight, but he showed the heart of a lion. Same thing with Tyson Fury. He didn't win that fight, but you know, he got a draw, and he showed that, you know, he's got a heart of a lion. And you know, you don't always have to get a victory for people to recognise your greatness. You know, even in defeat sometimes, or a draw, you can show that, you know, you're a great fighter. And I think it's hard to call people great whilst they're still competing. But you know, he's ticking all the boxes that you would require in someone who is on their way to, you know, going down as a great fighter.
It's a shame, really, we never got you and him in the ring.
I know, it wasn't meant to be. We nearly had a couple of times, but you know, the big man upstairs decided it was not to be.
But that, obviously, the beast kind of squash we saw you. What was it? Was it Dubois Gorman? I think.
Yeah, Dubois Gorman. We saw. We haven't. You know, we never really. I think that was the first time we've ever really spent any time with each other. And it was only, obviously, we can only say so much. There's microphones everywhere. But I've never really sat down and had a real conversation with him before. But you know, he seemed like he's over it. You know, he realised, you know, I physically wasn't able to do it. I needed to have an operation on my shoulder, and I got a big cut of my eye. At the time, back then in 2013, he couldn't comprehend me not being able to get in the ring. He was like, I'd get in the ring no matter what. And then fast forward a year or so, and he had the drama in his life. He pulled out of 2 or 3 fights himself with his issues and his problems. So I think after him going through some controversy himself and having to pull out of fights for reasons not in his control, he then must have thought, it's not as black and white as just pulling out of a fight for the sake of it. And he realizes that in life, we don't always get what we want. Obstacles are put in our way, and we just got to work the best we can around them. And unfortunately, myself and Tyson Fury never got to get in there and trade blows, but a great fight it would have been, I'm sure.
Definitely. Last question. We know the difficulties Tyson went through as a drink, drug, depression. Had 2 relatively spars, let's say, then fought Wilder. Many people thought he won the fight. If this rematch does come off in February, does he win? Well, does he win? Is it going to be easier for him because of how active he's been? I don't think there's any easier than him. No? I think he'll be just as hard. Okay. I think because he's not the only one improving. Deontay Wilder's also fighting. He fought Dominic Brazil, pretty sharp there. And if he goes out there and dispatches of a Louis Ortiz, when's that fight scheduled for? Well, it hasn't been announced yet. End of November, people are saying, but no announcement.
No, I thought the fight with Tyson Fury is end of November. When's the fight with Louis Ortiz?
Supposed to be end of November. And
I thought Tyson Fury was supposed to be fighting Deontay Wilder in November.
No, February 22nd.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you're right. Okay, if that fight does happen in November, I want to see how sharp he is compared to the first time. I definitely think he's learned more from that first fight of Ortiz where he got tagged heavy. Yeah. I think it was one of the later rounds, and it was like, whoa, is he going to go down? Is he going to? You didn't know what was happening, and he managed to regroup and showed why he's the champ. He was able to drill him and get him out of there. So I'm looking forward to seeing how much they've both improved. They're both going to be very, very different to the first fight. I think the first fight, Tyson Fury was nowhere near his best, and I think Deontay Wilder was nowhere near his best because he completely and utterly overlooked Tyson Fury. I think this time Deontay Wilder will take and respect Tyson Fury because he's been in there. He knows he can hit him with his best shot and he can get back up. And Tyson Fury better because he's had a lot of solid training camps. He's had those you could call it a sparring session, but he's had some solid training camps. Hopefully OTTO WALLIN on Saturday can ask him some questions and can improve him. So I think both fighters' game will be raised. Who's going to be better? I genuinely don't know. I can make arguments for why either fighter can win the fight, but I just don't know is the honest answer. But I'm very, very interested in seeing that fight. Well,
it'll be a mega occasion. We look forward to it. David, thank you very much for your time in Las Vegas, and enjoy the rest of your trip.
Thanks.
Once the opportunity arose for him to close the show, and he did it in emphatic style.
Whatever he hits falls.